He's on the outside line, though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now, though, for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such up. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry! Good evening and welcome back to the IGP Round 5 live from Magny-Cours in France. I'm James Parfitt. I'm going to be joined in the booth once again by Mr. Ewan O'Leary. Is going to come and join me for what plans to be an absolute epic evening of racing. And with 49 cars on track, it definitely plans on being that as well. The track itself opened in 1967, configuration since its conception, 2 currently in use, and that's the National Circuit and the Grand Prix Circuit, but it's the Grand Prix Circuit we are on today with 4.411 kilometres, 2.741 miles, 17 turns, and believe it or not, track record set by Michael Schumacher in the Ferrari F2004. They're at 1:15.377, and I think it's time we can bring Mr. O'Leary into the booth. Good evening, Ewan. How are you, sir?
Good evening, doing well once again. Looking forward to another round of this series because it does continue to get interesting, as we mentioned, or as we saw last week, I should say, at the Jerez round. It's very much getting into an interesting one now. We're a third of the way through the season. And we've got a very, very close championship situation, as you can see here. And we've had individually some very interesting races to commentate on as well. So, yeah, looking forward to another one here.
Yeah, you see the championship standings are on your screen. Luca Varani is out in front. Will McIntyre second. Kenzie Newhoff third. And then we've got a bit of a gap back to Andy Flint and Lee Aberdeen. Evan Way in sixth. Antonio Jimenez seventh. Kevin Zwemstra eighth. Alex Lado ninth. Adam Townsworth 10th. Christian Glamseater 11th. Jacques Willems 12th. Chuck Morrow 13th. Lucas Marek 14th. And Marek Otlovs is in 15th place. Then beyond that one, we have got down in 16th, Pedro Suarez, Marcis Putniks, Victor Barris, Koji Ito, Edward Amos, Leonard Cherry, Jakub Olezwinski, Vyacheslav Podopenko, Zach Weir, Mark Louvet, and then rounding out your top 30, we have got Steve Ridders, Reno Scatini, Paolo Brem, John McKenzie, and Matthew Brewer. So there we go. That is the current champ standings here this evening, and one that's going to be panning out here as well. But Magny-Cours, Mr. O'Leary, what do we think of Magny-Cours with the F3s? 49 of them whizzing around here at a high pace, of course. It's going to be interesting, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure what we're going to see in terms of the racing between the F3s, but I do think personally that it's a fantastic circuit, this one to drive at on your own. It's got some plenty of flowing corners or whatever, but a great overtaking opportunity as well down at turn 5. Only really one around here. It is possible into turn 14. We've just seen current pole sitter Gianfranco Pagotto go through there. Turn 14 is possible, certainly. And turn 9 is very tricky as well when you're turning and braking. But turn 5 is where the overtaking opportunities are going to be. And so I'm looking forward to this race and to see what we're going to see, because it's very rare that you see a poor race with the F3s. They're easy to overtake and race with one another. So it should be another good one.
Yeah, it should be as well. Good evening, Mr. Arthur Ferdle and Conor Wagner. Welcome in. I'm very well, thank you very much for asking. Last time out at Jerez, it was Lee Aberdeen taking the victory, Kevin Zwemstra in second, and Luca Varani in third. We did say Luca Varani was a little bit more conservative than he needed to be at Jerez. He is not here this week, unfortunately, for Mr. Varani. So no championship leader here tonight as well. So keep that in mind. It's going to be an exciting one here, as we're just coming towards the end of qualifying before we go into that 33 lap race here at Magny-Cours. Now, driver's briefing earlier on, they will not be able to overtake from the start right the way through to the exit of turn 3, but they can go and overtake down into turn 5. Now, we do have turn 4 in the middle. It is a little right-hand kink that some people call it a turn, others don't. Chuck Morrow, well, he's gone past it. He's on his way to it now. It's a very small kink there, so maybe it's classed as a turn, maybe it's not. We'll find out, but this is it coming up. Oh, just there in front of us. So it's a mixture of opinions on whether or not that is a turn and whether or not it isn't. So turn 4, Ewan, do we think it's a turn? Do we think it's not?
It's not for me. I mean, you do have to turn the wheel, I suppose, but you don't think about doing that at all. It's just nothing more than a bend in the road, really. Although some would argue, as you say, that a bend in the road is indeed a turn. But whatever. There it is. Absolutely flat out in almost any car I've ever seen. So I can't really see that being a corner, really, that needs a name and a number, but there we are. We've got one. So that's just... And there are quite a few of these corners around Magny-Cours, actually. The road does bend quite a lot on supposed straights, like there at turn 6. That was another bend there. There's one turn 11 just out of the hairpin down here as well that Jimenez might get to. So, yeah, for some reason, there's quite a few of them around this circuit. Don't really know why, but there we are. That's the way it is.
And here we go. The grid is up here for the race as well, so get ready for the grid. We will bring you up as much as we can. It is Gianfranco Pagoda in first, Lee Aberdeen second, Kenzie Newell third, Max Bartolotta in fourth, Lucas Marek fifth, Tony Jimenez sixth, Pedro Suera seventh, Nicholas Westman eighth, Will McIntyre Jones ninth, Victor Barras 10th, Kevin Zwempster 11th, and Evan Way down in 12th, Mark Louvet 13th, Stephen Ridders 14th, Jakobo Lazwinski, Vyacheslav Potapenko, Christian Glamseter, Clark Williams, Zach Weir and Jacques Willems round out your top 20. Kojito, Leonard Cherry, Evans Tilmakins, Simon Fessy beyond that as well, and Edward Amos rounds out your top 25. Marek Otlov, Sergio Kekafero, Chuck Morrow, Zoltan Zamota, Marcis Putniks, Adam Talmsma, Reed Dennis, Ferenc Zita, Reno Scatini, John McCare and David McCare there as well, round out your top 36. Beyond that, we got Robert Ridgway, Matthew Gracie, John McKenzie, Matt Brewer, Chris Kirk, Patrick Rowlands, Rudy Avitsland, Paolo Brem, Doran Oreo, Marcelo Kessler, Maximilian Gerhardt, and beyond that as well, George Lopez with Marcel Leclerc rounding out your top 49. The rule for that one is basically because of the fact that we got 49 cars on track. They don't allow overtaking to help people finish lap 1. There we go. That is your pole setter, Gianfranco Pagoda, as well. So that's why that rule exists, purely because we want everybody, as many as possible, to try and finish lap 1 with 49 cars on the grid. It can get a little bit chaotic, so stay tuned for this one and be prepared that if you don't have a drink, I would suggest you go and get one, due to the fact that it's going to be quite an interesting race here this evening at Magny-Cours, and with Gianfranco Pagoda and Lee Aberdeen and Kenzie Newhoff, your mixture up there as well. Kenzie Newhoff obviously third in the championship currently at this moment in time, but we're ready to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And away we go. That was a very quick light change, and it is currently Gianfranco Pagoda leading away with Lee Aberdeen tucked up right behind him. They are going to be line astern going round now. This is where it's all going to change, coming towards the end of the purple zone just about now. That is it. It is free run through turn 4, turn 5, right the way down now for the rest of the lap. But everybody currently has made it through cleanly. Evan Way there as well, another man that has made it through quite happily, all at the same time, and it is looking like so far so good as they come up and bunch into turn 5. This is what we were talking about for earlier on, Ewan. That sharp right-hander for turn 5 is going to cause an issue.
It certainly is, but I mean the orange zone there at the start of the lap really not making that much of a difference, because turns 1, 2 and 3 are so quick anyway. You don't often see moves made there anyway, so it was pretty much normal as we went up towards turn 5 there, but happy to say that most of them have gotten through cleanly. I actually don't think anybody of the 47 that actually started the race actually got caught up at turn 5 there, so that is a big relief to everybody, and they've all made their way through. But once again, the field's so big that the stringing out effect is absolutely massive. 45th already, back nearly 20 seconds from the leader after not even one lap.
Yeah, Matthew Gracie has gone into the pits. He unfortunately has gone off track. there for Matthew Gracie, but Tony Jimenez is another man who's got Nicholas Westman right behind him as they come around turn 15 through the chicane of 16, then over onto the start line once more. Here we go again for another lap here at Magny-Cours with Nicholas Westman coming up to the back of Jimenez. He's going to try and stay with him as best he can through turn 2, turn 3, and then on that run down into turn 4 where it's going to be a straight sprint. How is he going to get on here as well? There's action further up. Lucas Marek and Kenzie Nuoff all tucked up right behind each other as well. Nuoff's going to be looking for the inside. He's got to go. There we go. Nuoff has made that move. Is he going to be able to hold it? That's going to be the question. And Nuoff has gone through and is up into 4th place, currently trying to recover back from the position he lost earlier on, and he's only down 1 on his grid start there as well. But gap literally of 1 second between Gianfranco Pagoda, Lee Aberdeen and Max Bartolotto. It looks like Reed Dennis, John McCare, Patrick Rowlands and Matt Brewer have all been involved in their own little incident, and unfortunately have dropped down the order with Maximilian Gerhardt just for good health all at the same time. But it is Lucas Marek, Kenzie Nuoff, Pedro Suarez, Tony Jimenez and Nicholas Westman there as well. Accidents, you know, we were expecting in a field this size already, you know, and some have had them, but relatively up front it's nice clean racing.
It has been so far, and dream starts really for the top 3 to be able to get away and not really battle with anybody else so far. There's of course been a little bit of changes further behind with Nuhoff just getting in there, as we can see, but yeah, top 3 very much getting away from the rest, and it's about controlling at this point and about keeping things clean, especially through that final chicane there, where you can either get on the curbs or get on the grass on the outside, and you'll equally find yourself in the wall pretty quickly. So it is about controlling yourself at that point. Yeah. And so far, the front drivers have certainly been able to do that with more than a second between them at the moment.
Yeah, Brewer is in the pits, and this may have something to do with it. So Reed Dennis alongside what looks like John McCare at the moment, going down. Oh, contact.
Oh.
And that is where...
Tried to outbrake, well, everyone down the inside there and just got things wrong. These cars are very sensitive on the brakes, and so you can lose it very, very easily with them. And it looks like that's what happened there. We're going to see that a lot going in towards turn number 5. If you're going side by side with someone, everybody's in a train like this normally. If you're trying to brake late, you've got to be careful of the car in front of you as well as the cars alongside you.
Yeah, definitely is.
Oh! Westman.
Where? Westman's gone. Westman's off and dropped all the way down, currently down to 18th, still on the grass. He's trying to get the car back on. He looks like he's not, and he's just dropping down the order faster than the Titanic, unfortunately. And he looks like he is done and dusted there as well. Lucas Marek into the pits earlier on. Will McIntyre-Jones is going to go through, and it's going to be McIntyre-Jones, Jimenez, Barris, Zwemstra and Evan Way as they're going to come out from behind the trees once more here at Magny-Cours, but it is Pagoda, Aberdeen, Bartolotta, Nuoff, Suarez, and then McIntyre, Jones, Jimenez, Barris and Zwemstra all together on track currently at this moment in time as well. Normal what we see here with so many cars on the grid here, Ewan, you know, incidents and accidents, but overall stellar racing from everybody, and we've got this little pocket from 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th battling away here nice and tidily.
Yeah, on the whole, it is clean racing, although that was wide from somebody in the front 5, and now McIntyre is going to be challenged here by Jimenez for the 6th position, and Jimenez will get through. He was side by side with Westman actually as they were going through that chicane at the back end of the circuit at turn 12 and 13 before that incident happened, so he's been involved in it. But McIntyre Jones now really struggling as he's going to get demoted, and yet another position here with Victor Barris alongside, side by side. Oh, and another incident, second lap in a row, and this time it's Barris who ends up off the road at Imola.
Yeah, Victor Barris has gone, unfortunately, as well. He's now dropped out of this Tony Jimenez McIntyre-Jones battle. Zwemstra and Jakub Oleszewski, of course, further back down. We have got Barris, but unfortunately, right behind him is this man, Chuck Morrow. Morrow's tucked up right behind him on this run down into turn 15 here as well. So Barris has put himself, not from one fight, he's put himself into another fight, and he has got another fight behind him with Morrow, Cherry, Otlovs, Amos, and Cacafero there, all joining in as well. But it is getting very tight at the front of the field with Kevin Zwemstra in 7th, McIntyre 8th, Evan Way 9th, and Oleszewski there as well. All the leaders are fairly spread out. You can see that on the left hand side, of course, of your timing tower, all about 1.7, 1.8 back. And it is McIntyre-Jones is going to try and go around the outside of turn 5. Into Adelaide he goes. Is he going to be able to make this work? Is he going to be able to run this round the outside? He's not, but a slow exit could put him under attack from Oleszewski there.
Yeah, I think too far back at the moment for anything to happen in towards the chicane, but McIntyre for some reason just really struggling here in these opening moments. He's got a very nice chrome livery, as you can see, reflecting and shining and whatever, but at the moment just falling through the field and down to 8th place, which is a bit of a shame for him. Newhoff starts today 2 points behind him in the championship standings with Luca Verani here. These two are going to be able to get points totals better than his, but at the moment Newhoff is going to turn a 2-point disadvantage into a 2-point advantage at the top of the point standings as Mark Lovey just makes a little bit of a mistake, and everybody stacks up going in towards turn 14 here, back in the pack. But something we haven't mentioned so far this season really is the presence of 2 drop weeks that are going to become more important as we get towards the latter portion of the season, and so it means that Verani not being here today doesn't end his championship basically.
No, it doesn't as well. Track temperature is 82 degrees. Mark Louvet going into the pits. Evan Way battling there is just past Jakub Oleszewski. The weather is on the right hand side of your track. 82 degrees track temperature. They will have to be a little bit careful of the tyres, but not as much as last week at Jerez. That's where it caused a big issue, as it was almost being in the desert there at one point, as the temperatures just did raise up to 90 to 100 degrees at one point as well. Jakub Oleszewski locks up. He's gone. Can't hold it. Jakub Oleszewski not managing that overtake there as well, and unfortunately goes down the order. Another man that locked up there, Ewan, but it's not the first one.
And it won't be the last either. It's a very, very difficult braking zone, and there are many of them around here at Magny-Cours. There's going to be another challenge from Willems here, but won't happen down towards turn 9. Another one of those really tricky braking zones as you're turning and braking all at the same time there. But yeah, you're standing on the brakes from maximum speed up there at turn 5, right down to one of the tightest hairpins there is in any race circuit in Europe. So it's a real challenge, and it won't be the last time we see that happening here tonight, but I guess that's what makes it such a good overtaking opportunity all at the same time.
Yeah, definitely there as well, and I think that's going to be one of the interesting things these guys have got to try and manage here at Magny-Cours. It's going to be tight. Simon Fessy up 9 places, Chop Morrow up 10. Then we've got Chris Kirk is your biggest gainer so far. He's currently up 13 places. There is Chris Clark, so he's another man that's moving along quite nicely and making gains as they go along. So it's going to be interesting to see how much further he moves up here as well. But the front pack are starting to spread out a little bit, Ewan. We're starting to see gaps appear on this racetrack, and it is now getting interesting down in 13th and 14th with Zach Weir and Clark Williams here as well, with Simon Fessy and Jacques Willems battling away behind them as well.
It's a very different race to what we saw last week at Jerez, with Willems once again heading to, Fessy, this is heading to the outside line there with Willems just behind. It's a very different race to last week because we saw it so difficult to overtake at Jerez, but we got some real big groups starting to form, and in the end, nobody could overtake each other for the most part. It was possible, but it was just very difficult. It was hard work. But around here, it is that little bit easier. So that's a big relief to everybody here. And it just means we're getting fights like this one. Fessy really close to the back of Weir in towards the chicane. They'll go side by side. It hasn't typically gone well for people attempting this so far, but Fessy has made it work and has got up to 14th place.
Yeah, Lucas Murray has jumped to the pits as well. Matthew Gracie is another man. And obviously we saw Jakub Oleszewski go off there, but Simon Fessy did pass Zach Weir. It's now all on Zach Weir, whether or not he's going to be able to make this defence. He's on lap 8, 33 laps, don't forget. And it is Weir going to track down Fessy, sorry, with Williams and Williams in the same race, and Williams they're going to try and track down Weir. It's going to get very tight down the bottom end of this field, currently down in 15th and 16th, with Barris trying to make his way through as well, who of course had that off track for Victor Barris and unfortunately went round there as well. So it's going to be very interesting here currently at the moment in time, and it's going to be a busy one, I think, as we've still got, I believe, 45 cars on track with Lucas Marek. There, Matthew Brewer actually, so 44 cars on track, with Matt Brewer being the final runner of the evening. Marcis Putnick's Edward Amos looks like he's just possibly been overtaken there as well, and it's all getting a little bit scrappy further down the back end of the field at the moment in time as well. Here, Ewan, they've got to be a little bit more careful.
Well, certainly, but this is the kind of thing that we see, really. You know, it can happen. And once again, these cars are not easy by any means in terms of wheel-to-wheel racing. They are open wheel, and I do believe personally, anyway, that any open wheel is pretty difficult to battle side by side with one another. So, yeah, it's to be expected, really. But then again, it's what we see. So you can decide for yourselves, I suppose, whether it's surprising or not. But we do have good standard drivers, and certainly showcasing that. I'm just surprised that the gaps are so big inside the top 10. We very, very rarely see the closest margin, 9/10 of a second. It's a really quite a bizarre opening to this race.
Yeah, it definitely is, and not something that we see very often here, with the battles being further down here with Zach Weir and Jacques Willems and Barris right behind him. They're normally battles all the way through, and as you see, we've got a bit of a gap opening up front, 2.5 seconds from Aberdeen to Bogota, Bartolotta, Neuhoff, Suarez, Hemnevs, Wenstrom, McIntyre, Jones, Way, Glamsey, Aridas, Oleszewski, all got about a second gap, if not more, to the cars in front, of course, but it is down here with Weir, Willems, Barris, Morrow and Otloft are the ones that could be involved in this battle as they go here. So absolutely interesting battles throughout the pack, a bit more spread out than we're used to, I think.
Yeah, it is. It's very much is, and that's a surprise to see. I guess it's all boiled down to, I suppose, the fact that half an hour qualifying session generally does order the field in where they are at, where they actually are pace-wise. It doesn't really allow for people to have bad qualifying sessions. With it being such a long session, people can rectify a bad lap here or there, and so everybody generally starts where they deserve to be, and then it's just a case of how the race pace continues on. So we're going to have to see that develop over the course of the next upwards of 20 laps here this evening. So it could well change over the course of the race, but for now gaps are very big because it's basically where everybody deserves to be, and so those at the front are the quickest, and those further down aren't quite as quick. So it's I guess not all too much of a surprise when you put it like that. But outside the top 10, there are very much fights happening.
Yeah, Clark Williams and Jakub Oleszewski here in 12th and 13th place. Barris has just got onto the back of Jacques Willems, and we're going to see an overtake down into turn 5. He's going to send him the long way round, of course. He's going to have to try and make this work. I don't think he's going to be able to get this. I've got to be honest, the outside line doesn't seem to be working. Is Barris going to be able to do it? They're going to be running side by side here out of turn 5 up through turn 6. Barris is going to go again. He's trying to look for the inside line this time. Is he going to make this work? He's not. Williams is going to run him out, and unfortunately does take it off track in the process. Barris swaps back and gets him on around turn 9 there as well. So Victor Barris making his way back through, currently sitting in 16th place. McIntyre Jones has got Evan Way closing up here as well. This is the battle for 8th and 9th currently at the moment.
It certainly is. McIntyre just falling backwards a little bit in the early point of this race, which is not fantastic. So there we are. He's very much trying to stop the progress of those behind. And he's going to have to make sure he doesn't fall too much further behind at this stage. But good battling there, and that's exactly why I enjoy Magny-Cours, to be honest, because you do see some fantastic battling up and down the field, and we just did there with Barris and Williams, who are going at it again. I've just seen them swap positions again on the front straight, and they're going to allow a group of 4 or 5 behind to catch them up. There they are, taking all kinds of lines here.
Yeah, they seem to be, but Barris seems to be up again with Williams. Williams did look like he just got past as well. Potapenko has cleared Gebhardt, and Barris is running up the inside this time down into turn 5. It looks like he may be getting past him as well. Is Williams going to be able to run around the outside? He's not currently, so that is Barris through once more, and that's allowed one of the biggest gainers here, Chuck Morrow, to come and close him down. But Oleszewski still battling away with Williams further ahead. Can Morrow get onto the back of Williams and Barris? That's going to be the move, and that's going to be the story so far, I think. As further down the order, Edward Amos looks like he's mixed up in a battle as well, and so is Robert Ridgway, still fighting away down in 28th, 29th and 30th place there. Evan Way as well, and Jakub Oleszewski still got Clark Williams tucked up right behind him.
Absolutely, this is it's getting very interesting just outside the top 15 there, and it is here as well as Oleszewski tries to hold off at the moment, down in towards the final couple of corners and through this very fearful chicane that we haven't really seen too much from so far in this race. It was, or has been, a real problem recently in these open wheel cars. They're so low to the ground, and those curbs are so high. And obviously Magny-Cours being a new circuit, it's a relatively new thing to deal with. But thankfully so far, we've seen very few issues there. And it's quite a rare thing, but it's a good thing for this race.
Yeah, it definitely is there as well. Evan Way with Will McIntyre-Jones. Evans just cleared McIntyre-Jones there as well. Jimenez has got Zwemstra right behind him through the chicane of 7 and 8 on this run, round 9, of course. So this is going to be another interesting one here as well to see how this one pans out. Jimenez there with Zwemstra tucked up right behind him in the Drive X Esports car, of course. Kevin Zwemstra won the Alcantech NHR, battling out behind him on the run up into turn 14. Chateau d'Eau, as they call it, which doesn't mean water in French.
It means castle of water, that phrase does. I don't know why what that really...
Isn't Chateau a castle? Castle of water?
Yes, yeah, it is. So, I don't really know. That doesn't make a lot of sense, but there we are. To be fair, names of castles don't actually make sense when you think about them literally. So in any language, so there you are. It's a thing. Maybe there is one nearby, or maybe that means because in England, I guess maybe you just call it a moat when you've got a castle with water in it. Anyway, anyway, I don't know. But we can try and figure out the origins of French words till the end of time. But there we are. Yeah, it's bizarre. But anyway, we're looking back from Tony Jimenez at the moment, and at the moment Webster still can't quite get through. Thankfully, that was inside the top 10, just picking up ever so slightly, or at least this one is.
Yeah, definitely as well. Hola, Callum Milam. Thank you so much for joining us here. 20 laps remaining for the IGP, of course, here at Magny-Cours. 33-lap race. And once more, we've got this battle with Jimenez and Zwemstra on your screen currently at the moment. Robert Ridgway, Ferenc Zita, Mark Louvet, Reed Dennis are battling out for 28th, 29th and 30th place here as well. We're going board with Zita's just lost a place to Louvet, and further up from that is Robert Ridgway. There are the guys on track as well, and as you can see here with Ridgway, he is currently trying to get onto the back of Chris Kirk, and Ferenc Zita trying to keep up with Mark Louvet further back, of course. So from the Pain On Racing team, and Zita behind him from the same team, mind you. So, you know, a little bit team orders. You never know. You never know. But Clark Williams, Jakub Oleszewski. Williams is just trying to go down the inside of 15. He makes it through to the chicane as well. Unfortunately, Fessy is going to have a go here as well as they're going down into turn 1. Is Fessy going to be able to run side as they're going to come out from behind the trees? Fessy Jesse's on the inside. Olezwinski's on the outside. Olezwinski's going to be able to send it into free.
Oh! Oh, dear me. And good avoidance as well from the two behind. I think it was Barris and Willems, maybe. Oh, dear. It was good avoidance, and then there was a big crash at turn 3, and there's 3 cars off here with bodywork everywhere as well.
Yeah, Putnik's Otlovs is another one, and he looks like he's off track at the same time. Cacafero was involved in that all as well. And yeah, it did not go well. It started here with Marek Otlovs. Obviously, we've got the spinning Luka Olezwinski in front of us. There, oh.
I guess just distracted. The car in front, I guess, just distracted by the presence of the car off there, and it not really doing anything wrong, but just getting things wrong, and going for a spin generally. So Otlov's unfortunately getting caught up in that, and more damage behind as well as the car behind them also got involved. And yeah, that's going to be it. And obviously the new damage model not helping anybody there, because there was bodywork absolutely everywhere. But I don't think anybody was doing anything particularly wrong there. It was just hard racing, and then for the second part, I guess just getting distracted, which is completely normal, really.
Yeah, I think he tried to avoid the spinning Olezwinski there, and unfortunately for that caused what the problem was with Cacafero, Putniks and Otlovs, and well, the rest of it was just whoa. As Victor Barris takes the opportunity to go past Jacques Willems there. That was quite boisterous. Tony Jimenez, Kevin Swemstra still side by side going down into turn 5. They're still battling away here for 6th and 7th place. Nuov's got the gap down a little bit further up the field as well with Max Bartolotta. But it is now Swemstra's made that move past Jimenez, and he is through. So Jimenez there lost a place to Swemstra with Max Bartolotta. Currently got the closing Kenzie Nuoff ever so slightly as we're on lap 15 of 33.
Yeah, there's these gaps closing and opening at this stage, and this is what I mentioned a little bit earlier about the fact that this could very much happen over the course of one of these races, because everyone qualifies roughly where they should be, but it's over the race pace where things do begin to just break apart and change a little bit as well. So coming up to the halfway mark, and it's very much going to be a changed second half, you'd imagine. Bartolotta going to be under a lot of pressure here by Neuhoff by the looks of things. Suarez not too far behind, and championship-wise, Neuhoff at the moment would have 3 points more than McIntyre, but he's looking for another one right now, because it is a point per position, let's not forget, inside the top 43 in this championship.
Definitely is. Obviously, top 43 do score points. So these guys right the way down now. Well, no, because it was going to be Patrick. No, Patrick Rowlands is down. So it's Marcus Putniks is the last point scoring gentleman on the racetrack. Kenzie Nuoff very, very close to Bartolotta. Through they go. Through 7 and 8. Going to come round 9. See how this one panned out. Nuoff's been closing and closing and closing. So I think from Kenzie Nuoff's point of view, he was making that gap. There was the lap times on the bottom of your screen. You can see there Bartolotta lost a lot of time, nearly almost, what's that, about 4 tenths or half a second over the last 4 or 5 laps. So it looks like Nuoff's on a little bit of a charge here.
Absolutely are, and just getting stronger as this race goes on as well. And I remember this from Jerez as well, where he was the championship leader going into that one and had to recover points and did pretty well at it actually, just to reduce the damage to Varani and McIntyre, who I think both took points out of him on that day. But yeah, he generally does climb up through the order as the race goes on. Maybe doesn't qualify as well as you'd expect him to sometimes, but really does race well. And can certainly make moves as well, which is very, very impressive. And it's what you need from a champion like this. You're unlikely to get a champion here in an F3 league like this, where a champion that is just able to qualify well, race well, qualify on pole and then win the races. In that way, it's not Formula One. It's very, very different. You're more likely to need to race well and be able to get through the field efficiently, and that's what Neuhoff has got at the moment, and that's showing him a lot of promise in the opening half of this season. He is coming up under a little bit of resistance now, though, from Bartolotta, who hasn't had to do a lot so far, but has been able to keep him behind, at least for the moment.
Bartolotta up 1, Neuhoff down 1, so they have swapped positions since their grid start, of course. But it is Nuoff charging. He's pulled out another 10th over the last lap of lap 16 as well. He's closing in now. The gap's down to about 0.38 of a second here as these guys go running through now. There they go. It's going to be an interesting one to see how this works out as they're coming down into turn 14. Or Chateau Castle of Water, whatever you would like to call it. And then on the run down through, this came down into 15 and 16 at the bottom. So it's going to be even more interesting here as well, as they've got a back marker in front of them currently at this moment in time as well. So yeah, they're going to have to play the back marker and see how it works out here for Bertilla and Kenzie Nuoff. So overall, there we go. What do we reckon? Nuoff struck back a little bit. Looks like Bertilla may have got like a second wind almost, and he's gone again on lap 18. But it's always going to be tricky, isn't it? I think when you've got the ever-looming Kenzie Nuoff behind you.
Too far away at this point. Nuoff is way too far behind, and luckily for him, actually, he's not really got Suarez challenging him too much, even though he is there. Not quite challenging for the moment, so they'll stay where they are inside the top 3 positions right now, but outside the top 10 once again, providing the entertainment, because Olszewski here is certainly a lot further behind than maybe where he was previously in this race, previously in the battles we were watching, of course. Now Amos is trying to work a way through as well. A very flamboyant livery, I've got to say, the pink and purple, with some writing on the side as well. So there we are, easily identifiable, which is always ideal for us. But in the slipstream now towards turn 5, once again, maybe not close enough, and there is the problem with turn 5. It's a fantastic braking zone for an opportunity, but the corners preceding it aren't really good enough, because through turns 1, 2 and 3, you can't quite gain or lose enough time to make a move all the time, or maybe not as often as you would hope for anyway.
Yeah, I think that's the thing with the fast-paced flowing of them specific corners. It's always difficult to make a move unless you come to a sharp hairpin like 5, but you've got to try and stay with the cars in front, and that's always a difficult scenario, as up front Bertilla is having a go at Olo and Nuoff and Bertilla tucked up as they go through turn 3 on the run around 4 and 5. It was very close, down to about 2 tenths going around turn 1 and 2. A little bit more around 3, but here comes Nuoff now. Gap's going to come down, of course. It's going to be down 2 tenths, 1 tenth. Is he going to be able to close it? Is he going to be able to take the inside line into turn 5? He's looking at the opportunity. He's going to try and have a dive on Bertilla. Is Nuoff going to do it? He's got to tighten it up. He has got through, and Nuoff is on to a podium position, currently in 3rd place. Bertilla's got to have a comeback though, Ewan, isn't he? He can't sit there too long with Nuoff in front of him. He's got to have a go again.
I think based on the pace, he's going to have to do it very, very quickly indeed. Otherwise, he's going to see Nuoff get away pretty quickly. We saw the way that the Dutchman was closing in just before that pass, and now that he's through, you'd expect him to continue that as well, and maybe even look further up the road. There's not an awfully long time remaining in this race, so the near 4-second margin to Aberdeen is not ideal for Nuoff at all, but he'll want to close it, because as we've been seeing now, and now we're 4 rounds into the championship, we can start to talk about this kind of thing. In the current iRacing standings, taking into account those drop rounds, Lee Aberdeen actually does have the best score, but the fact that he didn't attend one of the rounds so far has meant that he's, in the overall points, he's not got as many as you'd think, but when you count in 2 drop weeks, he certainly is right up there, so Nuoff will have his eye on that.
Yeah, definitely as well. This is a battle down in 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th here. All of these guys are on front are led by Robert Ridgway with Dave McCare, Mark Louvet, Chris Kurt, Reed Dennis, John McCare and Marcello Kessler are all grouped up in this pack, of course. And it's looking like this could be an interesting dogfight all the way down here in the latter positions outside of the top 20. But this is one, if not the closest battles on track at the moment, which seems a very weird thing to say considering the amount of cars we've got. And normally, these guys are all a lot closer.
Well, they certainly are up front, but I mean, we'll take this as well. Even though it's outside the top 20, this is a fantastic battle, all the way down pretty much from 23rd to 29th. It's all very close. We're on board with Bob Love at the moment, trying to make his way through into 24th place at least. This is the run out of turn 3 behind David McAree at the moment, and you would expect Love as well to be able to have the pace here. He's down a lot of positions today as a result of incidents and accidents earlier on in the race, and so probably has more pace. He's certainly later on the brakes in towards turn 5, although it's such a long way around there. It's such a tight corner, you can't really do it, and he'll have to tuck in behind again.
Yeah, Mark Louvet tucks in for 6 and 7. There's the cars behind him. Of course, Chris Kirk is currently behind him as well. So it's going to be an interesting one to see how Louvet, of course, gets on here, chasing down. Is it McCare or McAree?
Well, I'm not sure if that's a muck or whether it's just because people's names aren't always spelt right.
No, we found that out.
So we can't tell if that's a muck or not.
Oh,
but
Louvet's gone on. Dylan Louvet's gone on deep. He's lost a place to Kirk.
Yeah. Well, that was easy, really easy for Chris Kirk. When someone goes so wide in towards turn 14 like that, it's pretty difficult for Kirk not to go through there, really. So Louvet now will have a lot of work to do to get back in front. And you can imagine he'll be very frustrated as well to be down so many positions today. Yeah,
Pedro Suarez just gone past Will McIntyre-Jones. Zach Weir is here as well with Simon Fessy and the very charging Victor Barris, of course, who's down 5 on where he qualified. Up overall because obviously he had to spin and did go off track. So he's battled his way back into 15th place currently, and it is Zach Weir in front of us at the moment. Is this a matter of, he's going to get past regardless? It's just a matter of when.
Maybe. It's hard to say really. I don't think it's any passes are absolute certainties around here because of the nature of the circuit, but certainly maybe likely for some. We'll wait and see how the battle develops really. But Barris has just got to tuck in here and wait for the chance. More lap traffic here to deal with, and that is going to start to become a problem around this circuit. It's not a particularly short one, but look at the track map on the top right hand side of the screen. It's pretty busy out there at the moment.
Definitely is. Barris keeps it nice and tidy through the last chicane, of course, on this run down the start finishing line. Round turn 1 they're going to be going very, very shortly. Zach Weir in front of us, Fessy in front of that as well. Fessy up 11 places. Takes a very wide line round 3. Win, it almost goes up the inside. We're in a prime position. Sat on the back of Barris's car. We can see it all happening in front of us. Is there going to be action going down into turn 5? We go past turn 4. That little kink there. Fessy's hugging the inside line. Oh, from Barris's point of view, tuck up the inside of Fessy. He's going to try and cut back on Weir. I think he's going to get it. I think he is going to get it. They're going to be running out, try and be side by side. Barris now not giving the position up, not holding back. He's trying to go for it. Oh, Barris, that could have been a master stroke there, Ewan. Just unfortunately did not get the exit out of turn 5.
That was the kind of thing he really needed because, as we mentioned, it is somewhat difficult sometimes to make moves around here. So if you can just send the person in front offline a little bit by, tempting them with a position in front, then you could really be onto something. But unfortunately, Barris wasn't quite there. And it is looking like Weir is looking, pretty threatening at the moment on the back of Fessy as we go. He's clearly got a bit of speed about him, but he's in this awkward position of trying to overtake and not be overtaken all at the same time, which is very, very easy to do, as we've just seen, as you're going offline, searching for moves and searching for lines that might give you the place. The driver behind could easily use one of those to make a pass of their own.
Barris looks like he's going to be tucked up in behind him again, coming into turn 1. Fessy looks like he may have had a moment of relaxation, but Barris is back. He is back once more, going after him again. Down in 14th and 15th place respectively, of course. And is this going to be Barris's move down into turn 5? From Weir's point of view, he's got to stay behind Fessy. I wouldn't leave the door wide open like that, sir. No, 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 no. Oh, I'm surprised Barris didn't actually try and send it there, to be fair, because the door was open for a move from Weir there in front of him.
I guess it is a little bit surprising, but You've got to realise, I guess, or he will be trying to realise that there's time in the race remaining, and he doesn't want to make anything risky at this stage. Let's not forget, it's still a pretty high position right now, and won't want to throw anything away. Still scoring nearly 30 points here in this position, so it's not a bad haul at all, and would not want to go, completely down the order. So we'll see, and I think maybe he's waiting for the outcome of this battle up in front. Barris has realised that Weir has got his sights set on Fessy up in front anyway, and so if he lets those two kind of sort their own differences out first, then he might be able to capitalise on it on one of the moves, as we've just seen, or indeed one of them will be taken off, and he doesn't have to do anything anyway. So I think he's almost waiting for the completion of the battle in front of him before he really does anything here.
Yeah, it doesn't have long, mind you. We're on lap 24 of 33. Evan Way and Pedro Suarez further up the field, of course, look like they're coming together very, very shortly. So we'll keep an eye on this one with Evan Way and Pedro Suarez and McIntyre Jones behind him. This is the battle for 7th, 8th and 9th as well. They've just gone round turn 5. So we're starting to get into that zone where cars are coming back together here. And you never know how this one might pan out as we come towards the final 9 laps currently at the moment.
Yeah, not many laps remaining, and not many battles inside the top 10, but this one certainly is one of them. Suarez was running a little bit further up the order earlier on in this race, let's not forget, but has now dropped behind Evan Way, and McIntyre is here as well, possibly to gain another couple of positions, but currently losing another 6 points to Newhoff, as we've mentioned, and Newhoff would be the points leader again, or the overall points leader. I suppose he's accumulated the most so far this season, but they'll both be worried about Aberdeen here at this stage, because Lee Aberdeen has only been to 3 races so far this season, has scored an average of second place, I think, so far in those 3 races. So he's increasing that and continuing on with that again today, and putting in another good performance. That means McIntyre needs every position he can get, and these two are prime candidates. Let's see what's going to happen between Way and Suarez here in towards turn 5, because they are very close.
Yeah, they're going to have another go. I think Suarez is not a man to generally hang around. McIntyre Jones is also not wanting to hang around either. Surprised he's not tucked up right behind Suarez. That's to pull out here. Suarez is going to go up Way. He's gone for it here. Oh, he's jeopardised Way's exit. Is this going to be McIntyre Jones alongside us? Evan Way now running it into 6. No, able to take his line. McIntyre Jones just backs out a little bit, and that's allowed Suarez and Way to currently resume their battle here in 7th, 8th and 9th place with 8 laps to go.
Yeah, that was a classic pass from Suarez, really. Not a case of, running someone else out of road, but diving deep on the brakes on the inside of turn 5 there and sliding up in front of Way to make sure that he couldn't come back at him. And that was prime opportunity, really, for McIntyre Jones to get involved, because if he was on a different line there, he could have certainly got alongside Evan Way and challenged him in towards the next chicane. Once again, maybe he was staying back and didn't want to get involved particularly, and you can hardly blame him, really. But then again, I think that maybe he should be getting involved, really, because it's a position, and he needs them. So we'll see what happens here. But McIntyre could be criticised there for being a little bit too tentative. We'll see what happens. See how aggressive he is with Way on the exit of turn 3 here, and he certainly does have a better exit, although he does have ground to make up.
Yeah, he does. He's currently down to 2 tenths at the moment as well. 2-2. He's going to drop under the 2 mark now. Is he going to get it under 1? He is. Here's McIntyre Jones going to make this move into turn 5. He has gone for it. Is there going to be contact? Is he going to be able to hold on? Only time will tell. And it is Evan Way survives, I suppose, the move from McIntyre Jones this time around. But McIntyre Jones looking a little bit more racy and pacey to basically trying to have another go at Way. And why these two are fighting, of course, Pedro Suarez says, thank you very much. I'm going to take that position and move on with my life. And Max Bartolotta and Kevin Zwemstra are another 2 that have come together, as I say, with barely 7 laps remaining.
Yeah, Bartolotta really in trouble here late on in the race. His race pace clearly not as good as his qualifying pace. Same can't be said his compatriot Gianfranco Pagotto, by the way, who set the fastest lap of anybody on the previous lap. He is not struggling, but Bertilla certainly is, locking the brakes in towards turn 15 there, and now... Oh no, Zwepster's gone! Zwepster was applying all kinds of pressure there, but he's thrown it away. Jimenez will get into the top 5. There's the first one we've seen of the day through the chicane. It's on the grass on the outside. It's so easy to do, and Zwepster's done it. Dropped down to 6th place.
Yeah, lap 27 on the last chicane. Kevin Zwemstra dropped down to 6th now. He's quite lucky. There's a bit of a gap back further. The only man who hasn't got a back gap here is Zach Weir, who has got a gap there. Currently, at the moment, he was battling away with Simon Fessy. Wasn't he? Or they were a freeway fight, weren't they?
There certainly was, yeah, it was Barris on the back of them, wasn't it?
Oh, no. Barris has gone off and had an incident, and that's why he's dropped back. We'll have a look. Once these guys get through here into turn 9, we'll try and grab a quick look at what happened to Victor Barris. He was, of course, a man on a mission.
Yeah, well, here's what happened through turn 3. There's another car offline in front, and I just wonder whether that was distracting a little bit, because you don't often see spins around there, and it's had to be really careful getting back going again as well on the grass here. We'll have lost a lot of time doing that, but obviously needs to be done for safety reasons as well. So it's a real shame. It's left these two to fight amongst themselves. And still, for some reason, Zach Weir is finding this quite difficult at the moment, trying to get through on Fessy.
Yeah, track temperature has come down, of course. It was like 85 before we started. It's now down to 79. So a little bit cooler track temperature for these guys. Potapenko. Not seen much of Vyacheslav Potapenko, but he's fighting away with John McCary as well. I'm going to presume that's how we're going to say that name. In 33rd and 32nd place. So they're having a nice little tiny battle further down the order as well. One of the closest battles, if not the closest battle on your track at the moment in time, which seems very bizarre for us to say, as we've never seen this many gaps across the field as we're seeing now. I think Magny-Cours is one of them tracks that's kind of more difficult, should we say, than some of the tracks we've been to already.
To be fair, on reflection, maybe I think we have been spoilt a little bit by the last race where, oh, that's a big dive from Potapenko, who will, oh, dearie me, and didn't even get it slowed up himself there. And McCary will be able to get back through there pretty easily as a result of all of that. But yeah, I think we were spoiled a little bit by last week and the race we had at Jerez, because we had a great battle for the lead quite a long way through that race. In the end, Varani couldn't find a way through from that second position. But yeah, we had a number of battles, and it was partly because it was so difficult to overtake that we had big trains and lots of fights going on within those trains, so we were spoiled a little bit. So maybe back to reality a little bit with this one as we go to a more normal Grand Prix circuit with, you know, there is an overtaking opportunity around here, but then again it is difficult, and drivers certainly can make a big difference in terms of skill level around these kind of tracks. So that's maybe what we're seeing today, really, and it shouldn't be too surprising to us.
Yeah, it is as well. Don't forget, we are going to be at Brands Hatch next week, of course, for the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. So that's going to be a nice, I'm looking forward to that one. That should be an absolute barnstorming of a race there at Brands as we come into the last 4 laps, of course. Fessy and Weir battling away down in 13th and 14th. Fessy trying to go around the outside of 5 with contact. That was scrappy. I don't know. Yeah. Not really, I suppose, necessary contact, was there?
I mean, not entirely. I mean, we get towards the end of the race, to be fair. So it's the kind of, if there's ever a time, I guess it's now. But yeah, it's never ideal to really see that. You know, it kind of happens though, unfortunately. Just a kind of meeting in the middle, really, at turn 5. I don't think anybody did anything particularly wrong between the two of them, but it was just one of those where, yeah, they just met in the middle and they just made contact. Really, I don't think it was too malicious from anybody.
Chris Kirk battling away with Marcello Kessler down in 25th and 24th place, respectively. Kirk up 16. Marcello Kessler, the highest gainer at all of all the field. He's currently up 22 places. Is Marcello Kessler there as well? 22 out of a field of 49. That is unbelievable gains there for Kessler this evening as well, and he's doing an absolutely stellar job down in 24th, battling away with Chris Kirk. Nice little tidy battle further down the field there as well. So battling again throughout the field, and once again we go round on lap 30 here as well, and it's Webster back again with Pedro Suarez closing in on him.
Yeah, Suarez has been really strong this race, but had that incident around the halfway mark. And so his initial progress from his qualifying position was kind of undone, and he's had to redo it. He's not going to quite have time to redo it all, I don't think, but he'd probably have to go past Wemster and Jimenez and, to get back to where he was inside the top 5, and I don't think he'll have time to do that. But he has made a decent recovery here, and there certainly is time to get Swemster. And let's not forget, Swemster could be a little bit rattled by that mistake at the chicane, and maybe just taking things a little bit easier. You saw Suarez, I think, in my opinion, a little bit more committed through there, and you can see why, because Swemster doesn't want to make that mistake again, and Suarez certainly wants to push on here. So I can certainly understand why that gap closed on that occasion.
Yeah, I think from Suarez's point of view, he's got the Webster in his sights as he's coming down into 5. The draft is going to be strong. Webster's got to be looking to go into the right-hand side. He does. He's going to try and send Suarez round the outside again. We've seen this. This doesn't work on the outside line unless Suarez can get a nice little power run out of 5, which he cannot do. These guys have got, again, people on track in front of him. It is going to be back Marcus City. Suarez is going to try and make the move into 6. He's not going to get through this time around. For Pedro Suarez from the Hydro Race Racing Forces team here in 7th place. Kevin Webster up 5. Suarez is where he started from in 7th place here as well. 2 laps remaining. The leader is coming through turn 15, so we will keep an eye on him as he comes round the final penultimate lap to start there as well.
Absolutely, and it's been just control. Oh, once again, Gianfranco Pagotto, fastest lap of the race. As the fuel gets burnt, he's just not slowing down. Generally, he has actually been caught by Lee Aberdeen over the last few laps, and the gap's below 2 seconds for the first time, but a 31.1 from Pagotto shows that he's not only the fastest in qualifying, but the fastest in the race as well, because to set fastest laps at this point is very, very impressive indeed. For example, even these guys inside the top 10 are in the high 31s at this stage. Pagotto in a completely different league to everyone else.
Yeah, still got Suarez behind him on lap 32. One more to go for Pedro Suarez. Can he make this move? Can Weir clear Fessy? These are another man. Weir has followed and stared at the rear wing of Simon Fessy for literally nearly 3/4 of this race. Suarez and Webster are going to be side by side. Webster's going to come out of 5 with it again. Suarez tried the outside line. What's going to happen with Fessy and Weir? Fessy's gone to the right-hand side of the circuit this time. He's going to try and defend that right-hand lane. Fessy, oh no, Weir, don't do it unless you're going to cut him back. Oh, that's not going to work either. That's the tough one, trying to run that outside turn 5.
It is, and it's really even made harder by the fact that he broke so late as well. It is not terrible braking late. It's not the worst idea in the world, but the angle he took the corner at was not fantastic, and just couldn't get the run out of the corner because it isn't an insignificant straight towards the next chicane down there at Nürburgring. So it was never going to happen for Weir, and he's left with 1 lap now. Final lap just being begun now by Pagotto, who has now seen his gap below a second for the first time pretty much all race. But we're very much running out of chances now to get that position, and I am surprised by that, really. I would have thought he'd have enough to take the place.
Yeah, Pagotto has got his gap down to about 8 tenths with Aberdeen here. I'm not saying Aberdeen's going to do this, and that's no offence to Lee Aberdeen. Of course, he's an absolute quality driver, but he's been pulling gaps out. He pulled 1.1 out of Pagotto over lap 32. Has Pagotto lost tyres, do we think, this late on?
I'm not entirely sure because he's just at the fastest lap of the race on the third last lap, so I don't really know quite why this gap has come down so much. It was a 32.4 on the last lap, and Lee Aberdeen did do his personal best on the penultimate lap, but either way, Pagotto is going to have enough here. The gap less than a second, but it's not going to matter. Lee Aberdeen will be pretty pleased with second place himself as well, but not quite as happy as Pagotto, you wouldn't imagine.
Yeah, it looks like Pagotto could take the victory. He's only got a few more corners to go. And it is going to be Gianfranco Pagotto comes across the line. Your winner here this evening with Lee Aberdeen in second place. And Kenzie Nieuwhof, an excellent third there. So Nieuwhof comes across the line in third place. And a stellar job from him. Pedro Suarez did not get Kevin Zwemstra at this moment in time as they're coming round the final few corners. It is going to be Jimenez, Zwemstra, Suarez. They're going to come across the line. Oh, he does survive that one. What about Stephen Ridders and Clark Williams? It is going to be Williams and then Ridders. And Zach Weir still.
Oh, Bartolotta. Sorry, Bartolotta's dropping down the... And he might have run out of fuel, maybe. But he's DNF'd on the last lap here, Bartolotta.
Yeah, it looks like Fessy and Weir come across the line there as well. We can have a quick look at what happened to Bartolotta as everybody's coming over the line.
Oh, he's run out of fuel. He's run out of fuel. I'm pretty sure, because he's not able to go anymore, and he wouldn't have rolled over the line anyway. He wouldn't have been able to make it, but even so, got slapped by someone there. Not sure who that was.
That was Williams, wasn't it?
Yeah, maybe. But
yeah,
unfortunate for Max Bartolotta. Yeah, it was a good spot there. Yeah, just for some reason, Bartolotta has not had a very good race. He was strong pace-wise, but unfortunately, a poor race by his standards. He's probably going to be classified in 28th position.
Yeah, looks like it. Currently, at the moment, we're still waiting for the cars, obviously, beyond that. So, yeah, Bartolotta. Interesting end to his evening of racing for Max Bartolotta. And that was actually Bartolotta. Was it going past us there as well? So, poor old Max Bartolotta, not ideal. Looks like he may have run out of fuel on the final lap. And then, well, he got absolutely rifled by Clark Williams. So, there we go. All right, here are the results. Your winner is Gianfranco Pagotto with Lee Aberdeen in second place. Kenzie Nieuwhof third, Tony Jimenez fourth, Kevin Zwemstra fifth, Pedro Suarez sixth, Evan Way seventh, Will McIntyre-Jones eighth, Clark Williams ninth, Stephen Ridders 10th. Williams must have survived that. That's going to be the interesting thing to see if he had actual damage, because he did hit Bartolotta quite hard there. Christian Glamseater in 11th, Simon Fessy did finish ahead of Weir. Weir was following him for pretty much 90% of that race. Jack Willems down in 14th, and Chuck Morrow is currently in 15th place. Jakob Oleszwinski, Victor Barras, Zoltan Samota, Edward Amos and Koji Ito rounds out your top 20. Adam Talmsma, Robert Ridgway, Marcello Kessler, Chris Kirk and Rudy Avetsland down into 25th. Irvin Sturmakers 26th, Ferenc Zita 27th, Max Bartolotta does get classified in 28th, David McCary 29th, Dorian Orio 30th, Paolo Brem 31st, Vyacheslav Potapenko 32nd, Marek Otlovs 33rd, John McCary 34th, Reno Schettini down in 35th. Marcus Putnik's 36th, then Sergio Cacafero 37th, Maximilian Gerbart 38th, Patrick Rowlands 39th, Matt Brewer 40th, Matthew Gracie 41st, Mark Louvet 42nd, Reed Dennis 43rd, and Leonard Cherry 44th, with John McKenzie in 45th place. And then Lucas Marek, the last of the finishers, on 46th there as well. Well, another interesting race, but not as action-packed as we've seen over the previous races. You know, as you say, are we at that point now where we've been spoilt for the first for the first 4 rounds, and then we're kind of in round 5 where we're seeing, I don't know, something different maybe? It's just not what we was expecting, I don't think.
No, a little bit of a surprise in some ways, and there were some big gaps inside the top 5. But if you remember back to the first couple of rounds as well, we did sort of see that, really, that the opening rounds did certainly have some more spread out fields, certainly at the front. So, it's maybe it shouldn't be too much of a surprise. Maybe the circuit playing into that hands as well. But there was certainly a lot of battling going on further down. And as this season progresses and we get closer towards the end of this championship and we'll start to do the maths on who's where and who needs to do what, we'll start to get a better of an idea about where we are. But in isolation, it was one of those races that was very much controlled by the pole sitter, and Pagotto had enough in the end for Lee Aberdeen, although with maybe 5 more laps we could have seen a very, very different race.
Yeah, definitely could have there as well. That rounds out tonight's racing, guys, from the iGPFun F3 League, round 5 from Magny-Cours. We go on to Brands Hatch next week. The racing has not stopped for this Sunday evening, though, mind you. We have still got 2 more broadcasts to come later on with the Radical Sim Racers Americas round 4 from Watkins Glen. That's the 90 minutes endurance. And then the LSRL GT3 from Twin Ring Matigi going off. Both of them go off at 1:45. And then, of course, we've got the JPB Clio Cup tomorrow night at 7:45. And that's from Road Atlanta Short. So still lots of racing left here coming through Sunday into Monday. But that is it for tonight's broadcast, and from myself and Ewan O'Leary as well. Thank you so much for joining us. Callum Milam, Arthur Ferdle as well, Toxic Munchkin as well, Lucius coming in there at the end. There is no DRS, young sir, on these ones. They are just straight up cars, open wheelers as well. Conor Wagner, JCO Bix, thank you so much for coming in to the YouTube chat. And don't forget to subscribe, turn on the bells, and give the video a big old thumbs up. I believe we're like 8 away from 900 subscribers, so that would be absolutely amazing as well. Let's go, Kenzie. Alex in chat there. Nice race for the Racing Forces guys. Shame for Andy. It was, but overall it's been a great evening of racing. And from myself, James Parfitt, and Ewan O'Leary, take care, have a great week, and you never know, we might see you on the track sometime. Good night.